Hi everybody, my name is Kylie Davis and I'm founder and president of the Proptech Association of Australia. And it's great to see you all joining us here today for our 6th Proptech panel. Now, before I begin, in the spirit of reconciliation, Proptech Association Australia acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. And we pay our respect to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples joining us here today. And I'd especially like to thank our founding sponsors, Stone and Chalk, who have made this event possible today. And for those of you who do not know Stone and Chalk, it was founded as a not-for-profit in Sydney in 2015 to help fintech startups commercialise and grow. And from 40 startups in 2015, it is now around 200 startups in Sydney, Melbourne and Adelaide, covering all areas of emerging technology, including PropTech. And currently around 20 PropTechs call Stone and Chalk home. And I'd also like to thank our new foundation partners, the Real Estate Institute of WA, REWA, Macquarie Bank and PEXA. And I'm very excited about today's panel. It's our first all-girl panel, which is completely awesome. The mix in PropTech is about 25 female to 75% males. So this is a little moment in the making. But there is nothing more important in residential real estate than lead generation, identifying who is ready to sell their home and convincing them that you are the right agent for them is literally the lifeblood of the real estate industry. But the way that real estate agents find leads in Australia has undergone an extraordinary amount of change over the past 5 to 6 years. Whereas once agents would pound the streets, dropping off letterbox flyers, door knocking, or hitting the phones to do a 10 at 10 cold call, big data, digital marketing and AI have combined to revolutionise the speed and the accuracy with which leads can be identified, nurtured and acted upon. And this means that agents no longer need to phone hundreds of homeowners in the hope of unearthing a single listing and giving them back thousands of hours to use on better services to sellers and to buyers. But of course, this only works if agents embrace it. So in the panel today, we're meeting 3 disruptors whose PropTechs have dramatically changed how agents are finding their next listings in residential real estate. And with market volumes at all-time lows due to COVID and lockdowns, this has never been more important. At one end of the lead generation spectrum, we have Zoe Poynton, co-founder of OpenAgent, which allows agents to outsource their lead generation through its own popular third-party website that nurtures sellers. So welcome, Zoe.
Thanks, Kylie. Great to be here.
At the other end of the spectrum, we have Mona Chebu, Head of National Sales and Marketing at ActivePipe, an email marketing platform that allows agents themselves to own their own lead nurturing and encourages agents to be in regular communication with their contracts. So welcome, Mona. Great to have you on the panel.
Having me.
And last but certainly not least, Sarah Bell, mother of Rita the real estate robot at AIRE, which provides larger real estate agencies and groups the option to completely automate all aspects of incoming communications and market analysis to both surface leads and to manage and measure action. Welcome, Sarah.
Thanks, Kylie. Hi, everyone.
So welcome, ladies. It is really great to have you on the panel. And it is great, like I said before, to have an all-female panel. Yay. We're allowed to be a little bit silly, for God's sake. Anyway, so Zoe, let's start with you, because when OpenAgent launched, when was it, about 6-7 years ago, selling leads to agents was pretty controversial, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, we've copped our fair share of flack over the years.
So how does OpenAgent work today?
Look, I think it's important to understand our vision is to make it easier for people to buy and sell property. And how we do this is we make it easier for agents to help connect and help qualified buyers. So I guess if I was to sort of just break it down, in essence, our goal is to let our agent customers focus on selling properties and let us focus on doing all of the work we need to do to fill their pipeline with highly qualified sellers who are looking to transact in the near future. So if I sort of, we really have 2 products. Our first product, and the one that made us famous, if you like, is our lead generation product. And we use our own digital marketing and nurturing techniques to find sellers, and we use our own large Sydney-based team of people to then qualify these sellers and connect them with our agent partners. On our second product, we've taken everything we learned in becoming lead generation specialists and turned this into a product that agents can use in their own business. And we call this one Prospecting Assist. And that's where we use digital marketing, big data, nurture techniques, and even our own people to find and qualify sellers from within an agent's database. So agencies won't miss out on listings from within their own contact set. That's basically it. But you know, the one thing I'd love people to take away today is our role is for us to fill your pipeline with highly qualified sellers.
So what's your charging model now, Zoe? Because when you guys first launched, you were charging a percentage of commission, and that was quite controversial. Yeah. How does it work now?
Look in our core product, in that lead generation product, we have two charging models now. We have two tiers of service and kind of charging models relating to that. Our premier service basically allows agents to see more leads, and it also gives those agencies a really great dashboard with heaps of performance information to help those agencies do better on the leads. And actually, you know, if something's going to list, make sure they kind of win as many of those as possible. So that's Premier, and in Premier, we charge it slightly differently. It's no longer a percentage of the commission. On the prospecting product that I mentioned, it's a flat monthly fee, and that's kind of commensurate with the workload on our team, because there's actual people making actual phone calls on your behalf. We just charge a monthly fee, and you know, overall, you know, that one is kind of like $600 or $1,200 depending on the package, which works out to be a tiny fraction of what you might pay an assistant or somebody like that. But importantly, you know, both of our products are going to deliver to you every single month multiple actual listing opportunities. So, you know, you can focus on winning those appraisals and on your transacting customers, and we'll just kind of keep filling your pipeline with these opportunities. So I think, you know, by combining the kind of tech and the data with also the people, you know, what you as an agent can be confident in is that, you know, when we send you a lead, it's actually highly likely to list in the very near future.
Awesome. So now, if anyone's got any questions for Zoe, please pop them into the Q&A section in the the Zoom call. Now, Zoe, why do you think real estate agents need help identifying leads these days?
Look, I think agents are being asked to do way too much. And I think it's not realistic to be a great listing and selling agent and, for example, great at admin, great at social media, great at SEO, great at content nurture, make 100 calls a day, et cetera, right? And like anyone, an agent needs to figure out, where do I actually spend my hours to be the most effective? And most of the agents I've come across in the last sort of 7 or 8 years would much rather focus on their live transactions and helping people buy and sell property. That's usually why they got into real estate in the first place. They don't mind making a few calls, but they kind of don't want to have to make 30 calls for one appraisal. It should feel more like I make 3 calls and I get an appraisal. And that's kind of, I think, the role that we play by sort of just partnering with agents, and we split out the bit we're good at and let them focus on the bit that they're good at. I'd say that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So what about the criticism that you guys copped that was around, you only recommend agents who use your service, you're not necessarily recommending the best agent in the area, or that only agents who desperately need help are actually using lead generation services like yours?
Yeah. So first of all, the not very good agent complaint is actually just plain false. We look at all the top agent lists published by REB or anyone else, and the way in which we've gone out around building our agent network has by design meant that we work with the most successful agents out there. And, you know, any cut of the data you want to take, we're usually working with 70 or 80% of the absolute top guys, including guys and females, including the #1 agent, female agent in the country, and so on and so on. If anything, what I'd say is that the stronger the agent or agency is, the more likely they've got a growth mindset and they want to, you know, grow their business, and they're interested in ideas and new tools and services that help them do that. And, when I've, pre-COVID, when we had an office and our whole team of people sitting there, I'd bring agents in and they'd walk in and their mouths would just drop and they would say, kind of like, holy shit, like I didn't realize there was all this work going into generating these leads for us. And then the next thing I think is, man, how cool would it be if I could get these kind of 50 or 60 people working on filling my pipeline full of warm listing opportunities. So those are the ones we want to work with. It's okay for us to not work with everyone. I'm totally fine with that. To be honest, we track a ton of data to understand who does a good job with our leads, who's offering the consumer a really good quality experience. Doesn't mean that if you're not successful with Open Agent, you can't be successful elsewhere. There's plenty of opportunities like that, but examples of agents who are like that. But for us, we want to offer a great customer experience, and that means we need to work with agents who can work well with us. And so for us, we really view it as a partnership. And as I said, like I think our network very much tends towards the top.
Awesome.
Simple as that, really.
So a question from the floor, which I'm going to direct to you because it seems most relevant now, is how many agents would you engage for every lead that comes through your system?
So the average is 2.4. We never send more than 3. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 3. Depends a little bit on the conversation we have with the vendor, and kind of if they've seen a bunch of agents already and they still want to meet with someone, you've got to ask your question, why? So if somebody's seen 5 and big healthy dose of skepticism on that phone call, but sometimes people have met with 2 and they just want 1 more, or there's 1 in our list that we think they really should meet. Other times they come to us and they haven't met with anyone, and in those cases we would say, hey, you know what, you really want to compare, because there's a sort of order qualifier here of finding somebody who's kind of going to give you a good customer experience and who's got the right level of sales experience in the area to be able to help you and be qualified to do the job. But then there's also that kind of personal touch, and some agents are going to resonate with some vendors and not with others, and that's kind of just the game. People go with the agent that they feel that they can have a good working relationship with. So 2.4.
Yeah, so you guys use an awful lot of sort of digital marketing, I guess, to attract people to the Open Agent website and to help, to promote yourselves as being someone who can navigate or help buyers and sellers navigate real estate better. How much do you spend on generating that or on that kind of work each year on behalf of agents? How much are you investing in it?
It's many millions.
There you go.
Invested every year, and not just in digital marketing, because that's certainly a big cost, but we also run a pretty large call center team who frankly do the work that agents don't want to do themselves, of kind of making those, like that ratio of calls to successes is very different. And that's how we generate the leads, which is of such high quality. So when we send a lead, has like a more than 60% chance of going to market within the next 12 months. More than 60%. So if you call 2, one of those people is listing. And so, when we send that to you, that's a listing in there, right? And as I said, it's kind of our marketing dollars being spent up front. It's then also our call center team. It's also our tech team. It's our content team. It's everything. And it's, as I said, many millions. And, Open Agent is not rich. We've raised a lot of money over the last 7 years, in the zone of 20 million, and we have not turned a profit. So that will tell you, just how much we're investing in trying to make this work, and how much our investors are backing kind of, the broader vision of trying to make those transactions easier and free agents up to focus on the parts of the transaction where they really shine.
So the agents who are using your service, why do they prefer to get them from you rather than nurturing themselves? Or are they taking them from you as well as doing other things to nurture them themselves?
I'm sure it's the second, and there's always going to be that repeat business, especially some of those agents who've been around for a while. And even though the mix of how things are happening is changing, there's still, I'm sure, people who kind of walk in to the shop front and or respond to a leaflet or any of those things, right? You've got all kinds of customers out there. But I think the reason why agents would choose to supplement what they do and, ideally kind of partner with us and see, just to give you an idea, like an agent who we really partner with, who is on a premier contract and is getting prospecting from us, we would be aiming to send them more than 50 listing opportunities in a year. That would be leads that list. And you don't have to make 1,000 phone calls. We're going to send you kind of, 100, 150 people. And of those, 50 are going to list. So, that's amazing, right? Now, you're not going to win all 50, but man, like return on your time and return on your dollar, like there's nothing better out there. So I think that's why, agents say, well, I'm prepared to invest a bit and kind of partner with these guys because they're the specialists at this and I want them on my team.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, if anyone's got any questions for Zoe, just a reminder, pop them into the Q&A section and send them through because we're going to continue the chat with as a panel after we've gone through everyone. But Mona Chebu from Active Pipe, let's move on to you now. We've just heard from Zoe about how Open Agent works because they have this big kind of digital marketing and lead nurturing funnel, I guess, happening inside Open Agent, which they share. But Active Pipe comes from completely the opposite end of the spectrum. Give us a quick summary of how Active Pipe helps agents find leads.
Yeah, of course. So look, Active Pipe is a lead nurturing and lead generation platform, and we're tailored specifically for the real estate industry. So what we do is we automate on-brand emails that are relevant to each and every contact's needs, and we unlock hidden opportunities within the agent's database. And the opportunities that we actually surface are those that are ready to buy or sell today. So right now. So if you think of Active Pipe as a big sieve working in the background, we constantly sieve through the tens and thousands of contacts in the agent's database. And at the bottom of that comes the gold, which are the leads that are ready to transact today.
So how you guys have done a pile of research around the unpleasantly named lead leakage. Let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how big a problem is lead leakage in real estate?
Oh, it's so
and why do they leak?
Yeah, look, it's so big that 45% of leads are lost every single year. That's massive. That's almost half of half of the leads. So, and it's typically due to there being more contacts in an agent's CRM they can physically keep up with. They've spent years and years adding the contacts in, but as I mentioned, they can't physically call all of them, right? Trying to find a needle in the haystack. Who's looking to transact today? Who wants to list or sell their home? So they're not able to call every single contact. They're not able to remain front of mind with their contacts. And in turn, they're not able to build those long-lasting relationships and maintain it. And that's why, it results in the lead leakage. People just go elsewhere.
So how effective is email marketing at surfacing leads inside your CRM?
Yeah, really good question. Email marketing is extremely effective at surfacing leads. So, people don't want to answer their phones these days. 27% of people actually want to take a phone call. Email marketing then, takes place. So we recently actually sent a new client live on the Active Pipe platform, and they had around 11,000 contacts in their CRM. In the first 24 hours of being live on Active Pipe, we managed to surface 93 contacts in the database who were active in the market right now. We also had 156 contacts that updated their profile, and they were flagging to the agent the type of property that they were looking to buy or sell. But most importantly, we also received 10 appraisal requests within 24 hours. So you can see this database was sitting there for years and years and building, and all of these hidden opportunities were being pushed to the side. And to put this into context, Kylie, if an agent wanted to call 3,000 contacts, it would take them about 60 full days of work to make contact with 3,000 people. So we're talking a database of 11,000. That would take an agent in excess of 6 months to make contact and generate the leads that Active Pipe was able to generate in just 24 hours. So email marketing is super effective.
Yeah, so I'm always astonished. I have a handful of agents who contact me on a regular basis. I don't think a few of them have worked out who I am. I don't know who I am, but a couple of them call me, and I'm always astonished at how awful the conversations are when they call me. Although their newsletters are quite good, so it's not always the best way. A direct cold call is never, I don't think, the best way to try and find those needle in the haystack, because if you've got 137 what we did say 137 or something people.
There was 93 contacts that were actively
Yeah.
looking to buy or sell at that given moment.
Yeah, out of a database of 11,000. What's that? What's my maths? That's a sort of around about just under the 1% mark, isn't it, of contacts that we're looking to list.
And you know, the agents are, again, they can't make contact with all those people, so they're not to know who's actually looking to buy or sell. And again, they can't physically keep up to date with all of the contacts in their CRM either. So we allow them to build those relationships and remain front of mind at scale. We do all the work in the background for them.
So we've had a question from one of our audience, like, how do you identify that someone is selling by using ActivePipe? What's the trigger?
Yeah, of course. So every single contact in your database has different property needs, and we understand that. And so what ActivePipe does is we use surveys and behavioural data to identify the needs and the intentions of your contacts. So we identify if they're upsizing, downsizing, looking to sell, or even looking to invest. And we can do that, as mentioned, through surveys. So people are actually putting their hand up and saying, I want to buy a 3-bedroom home in these areas. This is my price range. Or we have really smart behavioural data that we've got in the background that's working and profiling those clients for you.
Okay. And so what are the key mistakes that you see agents are making that makes it difficult for them to surface leads?
Look, it's all about going back to basics, Kylie. We still see so many
the simple stuff.
We see so many agents that still don't collect those email addresses and that don't enter data into their CRM. So they get phone calls, they get leads, and they're not entered into the CRM. So your CRM is a tool that if you use it correctly, it works for you. But without that data being in there, again, that's where the leads get lost. So, you know, email addresses and entering that data in, without that, it makes it really, really difficult to actually surface leads effectively and efficiently for these agents.
And so what's the behaviour of the agents who are getting the most out of ActivePipe? What are they doing with you guys?
There's a few things. Again, they're collecting email addresses and they're entering their data in. So that's the first step. But we also know that top agents respond to 100% of their leads in under 100 minutes. So it's about getting in while they're hot. And that's why ActivePipe delivers the leads directly to an agent's inbox. So a second someone tells us we're an upsizer or a downsizer, or they want an appraisal, that goes straight to the agent so they can contact them immediately. But lastly, 54% of the ROB top 100 are using ActivePipe. So this is why it's also so important to be using the correct tools that actually complement and assist the agents in their day-to-day.
So I think that number 100 minutes, contacting them under 100 minutes, that might be one of your numbers, Zoe, from some research I did.
Sounds familiar. And
it does sound familiar, doesn't it?
Right? It's like, call everybody, you know, call them fast. Yeah. Make sure you make contact. If they've reached out and they've said, like, you know, I'm looking to do something, just because they didn't pick up the first time doesn't mean that they've all of a sudden changed their mind. Couldn't agree more.
Mona, I just want to ask you too, with ActivePipe, the thing that I'm always astonished about when I look at the system and I see how agents, when I see the hole that agents don't necessarily get, like it just doesn't trigger for them, but where it does is that ActivePipe is really successful at looking after buyers. Like it makes it really easy to care for the buyers in your system and provide them with really useful information really quickly. And there's an awful lot of people who still sensibly believe that they should sell their home before they buy. But if you can find the people who are looking at, especially in that upsizer category, then you're probably going to find people who are looking to sellers as well. So ActivePipe's really good at identifying people as buyers who are probably also then likely to sell.
You're exactly right. No one decides they want to buy a property or they want to list their home and it's on the market the next day. People do that research. So because ActivePipe actually works off the engagement and we're continuously nurturing in the background, we can see when your clients come into real estate mode. So if they've been sitting dormant and all of a sudden they're clicking on emails that and properties that are the current listings, we can see from where they live to what they're clicking on and all that engagement, and identify before your competitors those that are looking to buy or sell. So it allows you to come in quickly, build the rapport, re-engage the relationship if you haven't spoken to them in a couple of years, and as you mentioned, have the opportunity to not only sell them one of your properties but list their home.
Awesome. And Okay, so one of the questions we got before, which I think I might pop into at this point in the panel too, is we've talked about, we're talking, and that's the focus of today is talking about prospective vendors, but is there any way to identify PMs target prospective landlords?
Through ActivePipe, of course.
Yeah, I'd have thought so. Do you want to go from there? I know Sarah will have something to say too.
We identify investors. So one of our categories, or our intent categories, are actually investors. So the opportunity there is when someone's flagged themselves an investor, you can actually pass that lead on to your property management space, get them to do an introduction, and you've got a potential to then list their property or to build on your portfolio just from them flagging that they're an investor looking to buy, or potentially even again looking to sell some of their homes.
Okay, so a lot of agents do that, and a lot of agents do email marketing badly, and then it comes across as spam. What's your advice on how to avoid that?
Yeah, the beauty of ActivePipe is it's all based on engagement. So if people are clicking, they'll continue to receive emails, and it's all relevant. So what ActivePipe does is we only send relevant communications. If someone says they're looking for a 3-bedroom house in X area for X price, they're only going to receive those properties that are relevant to them. As they click and as they interact, they'll be continued to be taken on a journey. So they'll receive open for inspection reminders, auction reminders, but they'll only get those reminders for the properties that they're engaging and interacting with. So ensuring your database is clean, which again, ActivePipe will take care of that for you, and sending personalized and relevant communication is the way to then avoid the whole spam, or on the other end, the unsubscribes.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So Sarah, we're going to move on to you now as co-founder of AIR and mother of Rita. We've heard on one side, open agent, they'll let you outsource it as an agent and just provide you with qualified leads. We've heard from ActivePipe that they can bring it all in-house and help you sort of manage and nurture your own leads. And everyone's quoting the REB list. So obviously, there's lots of agents doing both. But where does Rita and AIR sit in the spectrum, in this spectrum?
It's a really interesting question, Kylie. I think in a way, Rita kind of defies the spectrum because,
awesome.
It's rather than being technology that's a tool that you use, we've positioned Rita as a collaborative employee that you work with. And so there's certainly the opportunity to, take leads that she surfaces. We call them opportunities. So Rita will automate a list of opportunities for you to connect with today. And how you resource that is really up to you. You can call them yourself as an agent, knowing that it's an optimized list that's been produced with artificial intelligence. So that's the best people for you to connect with at the best time for the best reason. Or, we also have a phone service of telemarketers trained by real estate agents. So we call it air sourcing. So you can have somebody else call that list for you and simply book in appointments. And so the resourcing of the work is something that's, I guess, less what Rita is about. But what we kind of want to do is make sure that however you design the service that you want to give as a real estate agent, and that will be brand dependent, that will be agent dependent, and it will be capacity dependent as well. So however you want to design your service, Rita is going to work with you to execute that. So definitely there's a lot that she will do automatically, and then how you resource the human element of the work once it's handed over is a design choice for the agent.
Because unlike sort of open agent and ActivePipe, Rita is highly configurable, isn't it? She isn't sort of out of the box and you just use her the way she's built to be used. You've got a lot of choice around how you set her up and wind her up to go.
Yeah, there's no two businesses that are the same. There's no two databases that are the same. There's no two markets that are the same. And so, Rita's intelligence ends up being bespoke because of the data that she's fed. And, if we look at, there's been a lot of conversation about phone channel and email channel today. And, the research or the evidence that we look at AIR has guided us towards making Rita an omni-channel solution. So phone, email, and SMS. And that's because we want to make sure that you get coverage of your your database. Because one of the, you know, dirty little secrets that we don't like to talk about in real estate or marketing is that your customers have a preference about how they want to be contacted. If you look at, a database, and I've got one in front of me now, there's about 40,000 contacts in it, and over 14,000 of those just don't have an email address. And a lot of them are older clients, past clients that are really high quality that you just won't reach if you're limiting yourself to one channel. And so really what we want to do is make sure that the opportunity from the data is engaged, and that we don't have those drop-offs because of channel. The research that we're talking about lost listings and lead leakage before, we did a 6-month study with 180 offices, and across that group there was $750,000 in GCI per day, every day. Ouch. Over those 6 months in lost opportunities. And so our calculation is a little bit higher. It's about 1.5 million a year per office. That being said, if you've got a lot of data, it's bigger than that. I looked at a new business this morning and they were at 1.5 million per month. Ouch. So the data that you have sitting in your database, it's, you've got to engage with it. And if you are just interested in dropping people out of your data model and just talking at the people that want to sell today, then you are only engaging with less than 1% of your data. And that won't give you the positioning that you need to leverage the relationships that you have in order to win more business. I think certainly there's a strategy and a place for lots of different tools in business. But certainly what I'm seeing, from 3 years of research is that the disengagement, over 80% of these property owners that are already in your database, that you already know, that are not cold calls because you already have a relationship with them, haven't heard from agents in 6 months or more. So there's the opportunity that's there to be lost or won if it's engaged.
Okay. So what's the role of AI in all of this and in surfacing those leads? Like how does AI do it comes down better or differently?
Yeah, so it comes down to capacity planning. There's that famous saying that we've all got the same 24 hours in a day as Beyonce, and it couldn't be more true for a real estate agent. You're the product.
It's the Beyonce reference just thrown me.
You're the product, and so time is really a commodity. Everyone's got the same, hours a day, and really it's about how we optimize that to make agents more productive. So the role of AI, or certainly the role of Rita, is to help agents with that business problem that they have every day. I've got 40,000 pieces of data in my database. Who is the best person for me to talk to today, at the best possible time, for the best possible reason? And so AI gives us the ability to take multiple sources of data and answer that much more complex question, so that the service that you can provide as a real estate agent is hyper personalized. So instead of just recognizing that somebody might fall into the category of a seller, Rita will recognize that they're a property owner, and she will also find, for example, that a property on the same street has been listed by a competitor agent. So that's your client you've got the relationship with. It gives you the opportunity to get in front of that competitor agent's letterbox drops or door knocks or, listing marketing that they're doing. Call your client and have that conversation that's hyper relevant to them. Like, I'm your real estate agent. I'm the expert in your area. There's property on your street that's come up for sale. Would you be interested in a comparable valuation to that one, or comparable appraisal to that one? And so by, not only maintaining contact and engaging with your database, making sure that you're engaging with the best people each day, we're also engaging with them in a hyper relevant way, not treating them as a segment, treating them as an individual with a, really situational context as to where they are, not only in their real estate journey, but in their, in their community. And AI is the only technical means that allows for that complexity.
So what's the response been to the agents or to agents that you're dealing with, whether they're clients or not clients. But what's their response been to this idea of them needing AI to do it? Do they see it as an additional layer of complication and complexity, or are they, or are they more than happy to hand over to Rita?
Yeah, so simplexity is one of our design values.
Simplexity.
Really about simplexity, and it's really about taking all of that complex stuff that's happening in Rita's brain and just presenting it really simply to the agent. Here's who to call, here's what to say today. And it's funny, like I thought when we started on this journey that our kind of, the avatar would be the young up and coming, sockless, tech savvy real estate
with
agent.
the amazing eyebrows.
Yeah, I called all my friends that fit that bill, and then I started calling other people. And it's funny, I've got this beautiful client over in Perth, and he's a, let's say, a veteran of the industry.
He wears socks, basically.
He wears socks. Yeah, he's been around for a very long time, and he's never engaged with technology well. He's had a CRM, and he's just always relied on having a girl for that, which is terrible phrasing, but he hasn't known how to drive.
We can do it.
Yeah, he hasn't known how to drive the tool. And so, but with Rita, what she's done is kind of, just put in front of him every day what the girl would, what the girl did in terms of like who to call and what to say. And he said to me, Rita's given me my cards back. I said, what do you mean? And he's like, well, back before everything was in the computer, I just used to have a box of cards, and I could just pull out the cards and I'd know who to call. And Rita's just like gone through and given me the cards that I need for the day. And so it's been really interesting to kind of go, yes, AI, it's super complex, and automation is this fantastic, engine that drives this, this whole new future of work. But actually, it can be as simple as here's who to call and a conversation you can have with this person, and don't worry about the rest. Let Rita worry about all of that.
She'll take care of it all for you. So how important or dominant is solving the problem of lead generation in the work that Rita does? Like, what else is she doing for agents or agencies?
Yeah, so lead generation is kind of the easy part, because there's, like we've proven, there's plenty of opportunity in the data that exists. And so the challenge that we now have is where are the other gaps? What's happening both in the data and in the human process to stop that leakage? And so, from the data, certainly there's through the buyer channel. So Rita's got the capability to intelligently respond to buyer inquiry. So an inquiry comes in from REA, and Rita will understand the questions using natural language processing. She'll go to the CRM, find the information, answer that in natural language, and customers really don't have a comprehension that it's not a real human. They're like, thanks, Rita, that was great. And then what she does for the agent is then she will update the CRM. She'll also find out if they're a property owner, and she'll present that match to the agent. So we've got a buyer inquiry on this particular property, who owns this particular property, and you should call them now about that. So, and then you can have a hyper relevant conversation. I see that you've inquired on 123 Smith Street, and you own 7 Church Street. Did you want to have a conversation about the swap over? Mm-hmm. And so it is a highly targeted, highly personalized, or you can send them a text message, kind of multi-channel approach to that. And the other challenge, and we've all talked about, leads and lead generation today, but the problem that we haven't really talked about is, leads are presented to agents, and then what? Because after leads are presented to agents, are they calling them? Are they following up on them? On those leads? What happens if they call and that person that you said wanted to list today actually wants to list in 6 months' time? What happens between now and 6 months? And they usually just fall out of the data model. So in terms of solving that problem, Rita has strategies in terms of organizing everyone into a seller timeline and presenting relevant topics and prioritizing people based on where they fit in that timeline to make sure that they don't fall out of the data model, so that potential lead today isn't, even if 1 and 2 is listing today, you've still got 50% of that lead that you've generated that will drop out of the data model, that needs to be recycled so that you get them when they do.
So what about in the property management space? Are you guys doing anything in that space?
Yes, and really cool stuff. So we've got clients that have, actually allow their property managers or the BDMs to have access to the sales database, and that is primarily one of the biggest blockers, because you have all of this beautiful data of property owners and service history that exists in the sales CRM, and the PMs aren't allowed to use it. They'll have another system with like 200 or 300 contacts, and they're supposed to generate 10 new listings a month, and the volume's just not there to do that. So certainly there's heaps of opportunities, like those buyer sellers, for example. They might be buyer investors because no one lives in 2 houses. So if they're not selling, it's an investment opportunity. So if the sales agent finds that out, they can assign that opportunity to a BDM to follow up, and you do that all within Reader, and it just makes sure that doesn't fall through the gap. If there's, for example, if there's a property owner in our database and their property comes on the market as a vacant rental with a competitor, Reader will put that match together, and if they're the best people for you to call, she'll present that to the BDM to go and offer either a sales appraisal because it's it's vacant, or a rental appraisal as a second opinion. And then once they're identified as an investor, the BDMs will nurture the relationship in the same way that the salesperson would.
Awesome. So we've got, does Rita stand for anything, or is it just a name?
Rita stands for Real Estate Intelligent Transaction Assistant.
Thank you very much. So Sarah, where do you think where is it going next, and how is that going to affect how real estate agents work?
Yeah, I think hyper-personalization is the future of marketing. I think people have worked out, as we sit here, I'm still getting, 10,000 emails about everybody's COVID policies that, from everywhere I've bought a toothbrush in the last 10 years. And I think people have worked out that like brands are not their friends, and that, I'm being retargeted on Facebook right now. Like I think
it's not the universe telling me to.
Yeah, consumers aren't silly, 100%. And real estate as well, it's, this is a professional fee, and it is a position of grave trust that people are engaged with. It's not like selling consumer goods like fashion or soy candles or whatever else we buy on the internet, shoes. And so I really think that the hyper-personalization and the differentiation of agents by relationship and service history will be a competitive battleground for agents. If I have a real estate guy who treats me as an individual, knows my context, knows my circumstance, and we have a relationship, a lot of that relationship can be had with my digital assistant as my digital double, in terms of like the legwork and the capacity management of that relationship. But certainly I want to go in there not as one of 3 agents on equal footing. I want to go in there as the preferred agent, the trusted agent, who is positioned for the business and has been there at the right time, providing that information and building that trust in a hyper relevant way. So that's where I think AI is geared and going at facilitating that hyper personalized experience.
Fantastic. Well, look, let's open it up to sort of a broader discussion. Thanks everybody so much. We've been getting quite a few questions down the tunnel, but if anyone has got any questions, pop them into the Q&A. We're working through them. With COVID, we saw pretty much, and lockdowns really affected the volume of properties on the market and created a huge shortage of listings. How did it impact your businesses? Who wants to start?
I'm happy to. Look, it hurts, right? Like, especially for open agent, we actually only get paid when the agent gets paid in kind of 99% of our sort of products that we offer. So, you know, if there are 0 listings, there's 0 revenue for their agent. There's also 0 revenue for open agents. That's a real problem. That said, we actually launched our Prospecting Assist product in the pandemic, giving agents sort of, I guess, a better way to engage with their own data and position themselves for, you know, those people who will transact. Because as Sarah rightly pointed out, this is not retail or like online shopping. You know, the demand is there, right? So if you're going to transact, you're transacting for a life reason. And so kind of building that relationship is really important. And so we launched that product, and even through the pandemic, we actually didn't lose a single customer. In fact, we grew a brand new product line. So, you know, there was sort of, you know, you've got to adjust and adapt, like just like your customer. But, you know, I think it goes to show that, you know, those very, very best agents stayed focused on the bigger kind of, you know, the bigger goal here, knowing that, you know, there'll be pent up demand on the other side of this. And I want to be well positioned to kind of write more business on that other side. And it's kind of exactly what we've seen with our customers. So.
And what about you, Mona? How did you guys go?
Yes, I mean, similar to Zoe, like it hurt and our customers felt it, so we were affected, right? But we spoke to our clients, we listened, and we supported them through it. We were agile as a business, and we managed to build and release, you know, in excess of 3 new features throughout the pandemic. But whilst COVID has been tough, one thing we did see was a surge in adoption of tech. And it actually shifted digital marketing from a nice to have for a must have for the real estate industry. So as tough as it was, you know, agents recognize they actually need digital marketing. They need to invest in the technology to actually support and assist them through times like this. And it just, we saw that shift happen very, very quickly.
What about you, Sarah?
Yeah, so COVID happened straight off the back of a tour I did in kind of every Australian and New Zealand city at the beginning of the year. And the wall that was hit by the industry so suddenly, you know, it affected everyone. And, you know, the real estate industry, you know, our clients, they're my friends as well. Like I've been in the industry for 2 decades as a business owner, and it was really tough to kind of see people and, you know, just struggling and not have any clarity on how to handle this. And so, you know, what we did is we took the ingredients of COVID, and we were working on a new version, and our developers, you know, put their heads down, and some of them were working 18, 20-hour days for weeks at a time. And in the very early stages of COVID, we released our new version of Reader with some, you know, features that would really help our clients with COVID. So when you're stuck at home in lockdown and your clients are, one of the things that you can do is communicate with your database, and we had a product for that. But what we did was built in, you know, the ability to make private inspection appointments directly from the Reader interface, and then email customers invitations to those calendar appointments, and things like that would really practically help our agents deal with the new terrain that had been thrust upon them. So again, it was about agility. And I think, you know, one of our values is care. I think it comes from, you know, just a deep care for the industry, and our approach was like, how can we help? We've got all this research and all this, you know, capability in terms of a product that we have, you know, sovereignty over what we do with it. So how do we just put our heads down and deliver something that's going to help people right now? And so, you know, we also grew during COVID, but I think something I'm really proud of is that, you know, our team stayed intact. We employed more people. We supported our customers. I know I was on about 20 Zooms a day, helping people, you know, learn the platform and helping with scripts and things like that. And we managed to as well bring our customers together. So, you know, when Victoria went into, you know, the harshest levels of lockdown, we had customers who'd really excelled during those circumstances in Auckland. And so Megan Jaffe's team at Rewrite Remuera, we had Nick Lyas, who is a beautiful human being and a wonderful agent there, do a webinar with all of our Victorian clients, taking them through how he handled dialogue and talking with his customers during COVID. And I think he did more in the month after lockdown than he did in the 12 months prior to COVID, because of those conversations and the engagement that he'd had during that lockdown. So it was a real, I think we had the opportunity to kind of share stories of hope as well, just because of how immersed we are in the community.
Awesome. So, but we are still in a period of extraordinary low listings. What are you seeing, ladies, that the near future looks like? When do you think we're going to come out of this period? What are your systems kind of indicating that when is the market going to get back to normal in terms of leads? And what's a normal market? A normal market is around about 400 to 500,000 listings a year. Do you reckon? What do you reckon, Zach? Sorry.
I was selling during the GFC when listings dropped because people didn't have the cash to transact. No one could afford stamp duty to move or remove. Sell. And that's what made the GFC tough. It wasn't the lack of finance, it was lack of stock. And and I think certainly being in those conditions again, I think government's got a role to play. The New South Wales announcement earlier this week in terms of stamp duty reform, I think will be a big thing. I think there's a lot of levers that can be pulled to get us back to a normal market. And, and I'm confident that our regulators are aware that the economy of Australia no longer rides on the back of sheep. It rides.
Turns up at an auction on a Saturday.
Absolutely it does. And, and so I'm confident that, we understand the importance of the property sector in terms of, recovering from not only the crash of COVID, but the tail and the drag of it.
So your platform sees a lot of data coming through it and big picture. What are you seeing?
Yeah, look, there are still plenty of sellers out there. And I sort of made the point before, people transact largely in property, not opportunistically, but because they've got stuff going on in life that means they need to transact. And that's still going to happen. And, we absolutely still see plenty of sellers coming through. I think the key here is, being the smartest. And this isn't about the sort of shiniest, glitteriest tool. It's about consistency. And there's a great saying that I love, which is just like, when times are good, chop wood and carry water. And when times are bad, chop wood and carry water. Like, it's exactly the same stuff. And what's really, really hard is to do that every day. A lot of people can make 50 calls once, maybe once a month. Very few people can kind of do all the things that they need to do every day, every week. And if you do those small things, you do them well, you won't have a problem in your business, because absolutely your competition is not doing that. And that's what I would say to the agents, and particularly our customers, say, like, let us help you just make sure that you can have that consistency in your business every single day.
Fantastic. And so where do we think the future of lead generation is going? Because I'm conscious of the time, just going to try and wrap this up. Where do we think the future is? What's coming next?
I think all of us are saying, some similar things, right? Like different solutions to a very similar problem. There's a lot of data out there that an agent has, and there's a lot of tech and smarter ways of using that data, cross-checking it against, other data sets, whether they be kind of core logic data sets, economic data sets, or, open agent data sets and things like that to generate the warmest leads. And, then being able to know a lot and have a kind of personalized conversation with that person. I think all of us, and being able to do follow-ups at the appropriate time with the appropriate kind of content. I think all of us would probably agree with sort of that thematic. And then it's just kind of like choosing the tool and kind of going all in, really, making sure you make the most of that tool that you have chosen, or that stack or that approach that you've chosen. And then for me, I would just say, recognizing your own strengths and recognizing, where you can kind of get help, be that technical help or kind of human help, to kind of, to have that consistency. It's actually kind of simple. The solution here is to kind of make sure you know who's likely to be transacting, make the calls that you need to make, be responsive, and then kind of do what you do best. And kind of, you know, be able to rely on a really solid stack to help you do that. So that would be my piece. I think there's a lot of kind of consistency across the group, but I'd love to hear the other ladies have to say.
Mona, what do you think?
Yeah, look, personalization. I mean, these days people want their name on a Coke bottle. People want their name on a Vegemite jar or on their beach towel. So, you know, again, being relevant and being, you know, hyper personalized and relevant is super important in lead generation. People are going to go to those that they trust and those that are front of mind. I don't know about you, but I open my inbox and I have about 50 emails every single day from different, you know, online shopping or real estate agents or whatever it may be. The name that they know, the name that they trust is what's going to stand out most to them. What's personalized, it's what's going to stand out most. That's what's going to get the cut through. So it's all about, it comes back to nurturing those relationships, building long lasting relationships and remaining front of mind consistently, so that way your clients come back to you.
Awesome. And Sarah?
Yeah, I think we're going to be able to leverage technology for greater productivity. So in terms of providing that hyper-personalized service and actually scaling the human function, I think, you know, as AI continues to learn and to become more humanized in the way that it naturally interacts and conversationally interacts, you know, conversational marketing is a huge, you know, a kind of emergent, untapped field in real estate. And, you know, and I think that as we see these more humanized technologies taking form, I think the real estate agent will be able to leverage those with a minimal investment in resources and have the same impact as they would have if they traditionally had put on, you know, very expensive human resources to help them gain more productivity. So that's kind of where I see the focus for the next, you know, 12 months. And I think in the 21st century, we don't look too far beyond 12 months because who knows what AI is going to learn to do next.
They said, well, I mean, they're saying out of COVID that we're going to see an increase in divorces, an increase in babies, and that both of those things made a lot more property listings in the future because they're actions that basically indicate someone's going to move. So hopefully we'll see a lot more listings coming through too.
See, I'm always ahead of the curve.
Well, you're not the only one, Sarah. Zoe had a baby this year too. So
congratulations.
Mona's your turn next, Mona. Now, ladies, look, we could discuss this all day, but we are going to have to wrap it up. So I wanted to thank our panelists, Zoe Poynton, Mona Chebu, and Sarah Bell. Thank you so much for your time and your insights. It's been a great discussion today.
Thanks
for having us, Kylie.
Thanks,
awesome.
Kylie.
And I'd also like to thank the Proptech Association Committee, Simon Yates, Jennifer Harrison, Marianne Lampertang, AJ Chand and Kylie Dillon for their help with this event. And a very big thank you to Stone and Chalk for getting behind the event and their support for Australian Proptech. We will be sending out links to this panel on YouTube, and you'll also be able to hear it as a podcast as a bonus episode for the Proptech podcast. So follow the Proptech Association on LinkedIn. We have more than 1,000 members now. And if you'd like to join the Proptech Association, it's time to commit for the new year. So sign up at www.proptechassociation.com.au. So thank you everyone for your time. Thank you again to our panelists. Our next panel is actually going to be in the new year. We're finalising all the topics now, and we'll also be launching a second monthly series covering commercial real estate. So stay tuned for that. Until next year, happy Christmas, everybody. Keep on prop teching. This is Kylie Davis signing off. Thanks.